Just bear with me a little bit. I will tell you this story that happened to me last week. It's about projection. So projection is something that we all do. We project into other people's situation aspects of ourselves that we are not very proud of, that we are trying to repress, to avoid or to reject. So then we project in other people. These projections usually come with great amounts of emotion. It can be frustration, irritation, anger, sadness. So that's a very common thing. We just project it and then we reflect back to ourselves, but usually we don't see because we don't know about it. So this is what happened to me last week. I went to the beach. It's really hot here at the moment. So when I was driving my scooter to the beach, I realized that I wouldn't stay long and I would just go for a swim and have lunch and come back. So when I got there, I noticed it was my first time on that beach. So I noticed little restaurants, but not really restaurants, just like kind of cabanas, very simple, made of wood, nothing fancy. And there are like some beds in front of it and some tables. So I asked one of the staff if I could sit in the sunbed and order food and if there was any cost. And language barrier, I don't know if he really understood me or not, but he said yes, I could sit in there. He didn't mention any costs. So when another waiter came to take my order, I noticed that I only had like 200 bahts, which is like $10 or €9. And considering the type of place and like how simple it was, I really thought they wouldn't have the card machine. So I did ask, like I had the menu with the prices, but I wanted to make sure, so I told the waiter like, listen, I only have 200 Thai baht, so I want to make sure that the lunch plus the coconut water that I was ordering wouldn't exceed my bill. And I made a joke with him, otherwise then if it exceeds, I have to help you washing your dishes. And I laughed, and he understood me because he laughed, and he even used it to flirt a little bit. He said, no, you can order anything you want from the menu, I pay for you. I laughed, and then he went away. And then I had my lunch and I went for a swim and finished my coconut water, and then I ordered the bill. Somebody else brought the bill, and the bill was 250 Thai baht, so exceeding 50 Thai bahts from what I had. So then I told the person who brought me the bill, and I asked them what is the 50 about, and they said it's for the sunbed. And then I said, oh, I'm so sorry. When I came in, I did ask if there was any cost about the sunbed. If I knew, I would have taken consideration before ordering. But I did speak with that guy, so I pointed out the waiter that I spoke before. And I said I only had 200 Thai bahts in cash. So it will be okay if I give you 200 Thai bahts. And I've only been here less than an hour. So I don't know how much they understood, but they understood I only had that. They took it, they didn't say much. I said thank you so much. Then I stood up, I got ready, I started walking, I took some pictures, I went to my scooter. When I was getting my scooter out of the parking, I noticed an older gentleman was approaching me. He wasn't local, so he approached me, and it's very common here, unfortunately, especially in this city. For some reason, a lot of older men coming here to take advantage of the sexual tourism that happens with local women here in Thailand, which I find it very sad. So projecting my own already experiences into him, I thought he was coming with this kind of goal or something. So he asked me, do you speak English? I said yes, and he said, are you from England? And then I understood by his accent that he was from England. I said, no, I'm from Brazil, how can I help you? And then he said, you didn't pay your bill. And then I understood. I thought, okay, maybe he heard something and then he's confused. And he said, no sir, I paid my bill. And he's like, you didn't pay your bill fully. And then, I didn't have to explain anything to him, but considering that I saw that it was important for him, he was like really moved, touched by that situation. So I decided to explain kind of similar to what I explained to you guys right now. Until this moment, I hadn't had any emotional reaction, because I was very aware that he was having an emotional reaction. And but then after explaining all this to him, I noticed he didn't listen to me. He didn't listen to anything I said. So he was really attached to his own opinion, and he was really judging the situation by his point of view, which was very limited. He said that if I was from England, he would pay my bill because he would be embarrassing for him to see somebody from his country doing such a thing, and that I was being so rude to these people. They're lovely people. So I could tell that he was projecting, He was trying to defend, help. He was, trying to make things better and teach me a lesson. Because he thought I was the one being unfair, So, but in the real situation, real life, he was the one being unfair to me because he didn't understand the circumstances, the situation. He made assumptions, he wasn't fair. So if there was somebody who wasn't fair in the situation, it was himself. You see, the irony in this story is that he came to help and support the weak, and but in reality he was the one attacking. So he was projecting, and he was coming from anger. But when I realized he didn't listen to me, I got emotional reaction because I'm so well trained in so many years that I'm really watchful towards my emotions, my thoughts, that I noticed that words that I want to use, you want it to be a little bit more and pointed, more like with frustration, with anger. So I held it back, so I didn't say what I wanted to say. I said, "Sir, please, if you feel called to do it, go ahead and pay for it. And you coming from judgment, you didn't understand the whole situation, and have a good day." So I took my bike and I left. And I was feeling these emotions inside of me, so I just turned in the corner and I stopped the bike and I let them play. I used the technique called letting go by Dr. Hawkins. So by focusing on these emotions and removing the idea that that man was the one responsible for causing those emotions in me, just letting these emotions develop and play, I understood that I had felt that way many times before in my life, and I understood that I had felt that way when I was a child. I felt like many times there was these unfair situations where I was being attacked, I was being humiliated, I was being criticized or even beaten, physically beating up, without even understanding why. So this feeling of injustice and people being really unfair with me, very violent with me, it was there, and I never really paid much attention, but it had always been there. So when I was there by the side of the road feeling these emotions, I noticed that I would need more time, in like a private space and safe space to express it. So then when I came home, I let them play. Of course, it was very painful. They're like a mix of many emotions: sadness, frustration, anger, hopelessness, especially hopelessness. Like when you really can't do anything, you don't know what to do, you feel vulnerable, especially when you're a child, there is no place to hide. You can't go anywhere, you know what I mean? You're being misunderstood all the time, not listened to, being mistreated. So it was very significant. And this discovery, this situation instigated me. This is what we call emotional trigger. You know, this gentleman, he gave me a gift of healing. And by allowing these emotions to, you know, express themselves, to show me how painful it was, how unfair it was, how lonely I felt, how vulnerable, how much fear, you know, by allowing all this to be expressed, they go away, they are alchemized, meaning that it's going to be possible to another person come or another situation and trigger the same emotions. These are gone, are over, are out of my system. I'm free of them, you know. And with this, there is a lot of peace, relief, tranquility, joy, you know, and gratitude for the experience. I'm actually very grateful for his understanding. And well, I'm very certain that unfortunately the guy, the man who came and created all this situation, the projection from his side, I'm not sure he will understand that this comes from his own unhealed parts that got exposed and projected into me and into that situation. But if he knew something about emotional intelligence, he would have asked himself before walking to me why he was so triggered, why he was so angry. You know, because when we are coming from these heavy emotions, it means that we are coming from parts of ourselves that we are not aware. So the good and smart and more efficient things to do is learn where these parts are coming from. So I hope this video has helped. If you get triggered, remember to let your emotions tell you why you're being triggered. Don't jump straight. You know, I know it's hard because I really felt like, I want to say things to this man. But I knew I was coming from my own pain, it was coming from my own self-protection, and I should deal with that. And once I dealt with that, I was actually very, very grateful for, you know, the entire situation to have happened to me, for me actually, allowing me to do this inner healing. And I wish this guy, this man, you know, blessings in his life and a lot of self-awareness, so then he can live a more chilled, you know, harmonious and peaceful life. I'll talk to you soon, guys. You take care.